Who is a site supervisor? This is a little bit different than what is the role or what do they do or what do they make. Who is a site supervisor? And I've got some things to say that I think you're going to find really, really awesome as we get into this video. And we've got 3 questions from people like you, super smart, awesome, and amazing, that we're going to cover that will really round this out. I really do think you're going to love it. So stay with me on this video. Okay, let me tell you a story real quick as I begin. And this is embarrassing and real. I remember going from being a finisher, equipment operator, and form setter, not a full-blown carpenter, never got that skilled, mainly a finisher, and getting a job with Hensel Phelps in the unions as a cement mason. I was like apprentice level 6 or something like that. I probably could have been a journeyman, but the general foreman, the finisher foreman, said he didn't want me getting addicted to the money before I considered doing something else. So fine, whatever, all good. But that was pretty good. I really loved it. If you ever need some help from me placing a foundation or doing exposed aggregate or stamped concrete, I got you. Like, I'm super good at it and I love it, and it gets me out in the open. So I got in and I started working on these prisons, being a finisher on the prisons for about 6 months. Tilt panels, up on the roof, footing placements, I mean, slab on grade, oh my gosh. I've never worked so hard in my life. I remember visiting my grandparents every now and then and looking like a zombie. It's funny, I say, well, maybe not funny. My daughter's a lifeguard and she comes back from a long day. You'd think they'd be rested in the water, but they're not in the water all day. She comes back looking the same way. I'm like, I remember that. Anyway, super hard stuff. Then I go into management because I hurt my shoulder. So I go become a rodman or a rod person at the time. Then I get to become a full-blown field engineer. So I don't have any maturity. I didn't have the lessons that you learned in university. I was an only child, so I'm like essentially emotionally incompetent. So I just don't know what I'm doing. So I'm like really not going about this the right way. I'll tell you some embarrassing things. If there's something that needed to be done, I would walk through the buildings with a megaphone, like loudly announcing things instead of doing it with human connection. I remember writing punch lists on the walls and like that's super embarrassing. And I remember one foreman one time saying, Jason, you'll never make it in management or in any other position or as a safety professional. I'm like, wait, why? And he's like, because you don't deal well with people and you're too strict. You're unrealistic and you're just going to make people mad. And that was a turning point for me because I was a fast learner. I've always been really sharp. So I learned all these things, but I didn't understand the human aspect of it. And Randy was his name. I look up to him to this day. And he's like, you're not going to make it, Jason. Like, you don't have the ability to work with people. You're too strict. And I made a change. Reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, starting to like talk more, develop more connection, hitting my head in some really silly relationships. Like, I remember one more embarrassing story. One time when I was new with the team, there were like 8 other field engineers there. And there was one end of the trailer where there were 4 or 5 of us. And one weekend I rearranged all their desks without asking them and made myself a nicer situation. What a jerk. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I didn't get it. And so you're probably like, why? How does this tie in? Well, one of the questions here is it personality, experience, or mindset? And I just want you to know it's mostly personality and mindset. Experience does matter, but if you're a good human, anybody will help you. And I just want you to know that when I first started, I had lots of learned knowledge that I gained quickly, but none of the personality and mindset. I didn't have the mindset of dealing with people and being humble and, being open and being patient and leading through people, right? And I failed until I made a switch. And so when we're talking about being a site supervisor, who can get there? The who's have got to realize that 80% of this is dealing with people and 20% is technical. So if you want to be a site supervisor and you're like, personality, experience, mindset, yeah, get the experience, yes, get the training, but people, give, add value, and that will take care of most of this for you. The second question is, can you become a site supervisor if you don't have all the experience and you don't have all the knowledge? The answer is yes. All you have to do is develop those relationships, and here's the big point, serve a purpose, which goes into the third question, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, and make sure that you're asking questions and getting teams what they need. Because essentially, a supervisor isn't to lord over people and micromanage, it's to get them the environment and collaborate with them. And so you don't have to know everything and you don't have to have all the experience. And then the last question is, what separates a site supervisor that crews actually respect and that they don't respect? And I'll tell you, it's easy. And it goes back to those previous 2 things that I said. that they see that you care and are supportive and that you serve a purpose. And that's when they'll start to trust you. And they'll be like, hey, there's Jason or there's John. Hey, how's it going home? You know, you have a relationship and connection. It's like, hey, you're great at this. Oh, let me give you this. Oh, this is such a good story. When this was all happening with Randy coaching me and I pivoted into the serve, I started to develop really good relationships with the craft. And there was a journeyman carpenter in charge of the tunnel forms for the prison cells on the prison. I'm not happy about prisons, but like we were building this concrete structure with tunnel forms, meaning tunnel forms that typically build tunnels, but they're actually just being used for each individual cell. He was an expert. We got real close, and literally, instead of looking at me like some punk kid, then he was like, okay, I need your help, to respecting to, hey, Jason, you're an expert at this. Can you come help me with this project at home? Like as a real friend. And we stayed real friends for a long time. So he went from hatred to absolute respect because my mindset changed. So who can be a site supervisor? The who's that can connect with other who's. That's the answer. I love this topic. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions. I'm going to put this in the description below as a blog post. On we go.